tortured souls. Science. Paranormal. Drinks. Three tortured souls. Entertain, educate, recreate, and intoxicate.
Welcome to Two Tortured Souls.
Oops.
Oops. Tim is currently MIA. We've tried to reach out to him. Obviously, we hope everything's okay. We haven't heard from him, but we are going to go ahead and do the show anyway. We left him a very nice message. We called him a couple minutes ago to let him know we're wondering where he is, because we were laughing because yesterday I think he sent a message about something about doing the show. He was ready to go, doing all his research, of course, the day of, which was hilarious to begin with, because he thought the show was yesterday, but he was doing everything that day. And then he realized he was a day ahead of time. So I'm starting to wonder if he did the show last night by himself and he just went to bed tonight. Anyway, but no, seriously, we hope he's okay.
Right.
So how you been, Kenny?
I've been busy, but okay. It's cold up here in Buffalo, and because it has not stopped snowing since like last month, and it just keeps coming. So I'm hunkered down. Tonight I am enjoying some hot cocoa with some Irish cream, some Baileys in there in my Mars, Pennsylvania mug.
Very nice.
Yes.
UFO theme.
Yes. Yeah. How are you?
Good, busy. Some people may or may not know, but a couple months ago, August took a new job and we are moving to Atlanta, Georgia area. So been busy getting the house ready, getting it on the market. We got an offer, and right now, tentatively, if everything goes well, closing by January 2nd to Atlanta. Don't have a house yet, but that's what corporate housing's for.
or a van.
Or a van down by the river, whatever works for you. So anyway, I've been kind of consumed with that. You notice that the background is way different.
Right.
There was a suggestion from the real estate agent to take down the voodoo material.
That's bullshit, man.
So that's all packed away. Keyboards are all nice and neat, and it's really quite empty in here, and it's quite echoey. I think those voodoo dolls absorbed a lot of echo in this room. So anyway, but we'll trudge through it and get moved down there. And who knows, next time we have a show, I might be doing it from in Atlanta. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to it. The winter's shitty already up here. We've had probably close to 2 feet of snow and not horribly cold yet, but I think by this weekend we're supposed to be down into the 20 below mark with the wind chill. So I was talking to some people. We had a town hall meeting that we at work, and I was talking to some of my team, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's 55 degrees down here today." I'm like, "Yeah, be there as soon as possible. I'm trying."
Right.
So, all right, let's see who is in the room first. So we got Jade Kitten, Caroline, Robert. Hey, Robert Bradley, how you doing? Let's see who else. I think that's it for what I can see right now, but welcome everybody. I think we got about 9 or so people viewing the show, so thanks for joining us. I know we're about a week off, and again, a lot of that is a lot of it's me because I'm just all over the place and screwed up with trying to move and travel with work. And I think some of us, Kenny, you had some stuff going on as well. So we've had to change some dates, and hopefully after the first of the year, we'll try to settle back into our normal routine.
Right. Yeah, too much has come up, and at the end of the year, we're supposed to just like kind of chill. Like the last month of the year is usually like when I don't do anything, but unfortunately, it's quite the opposite. So
Yeah.
Dragon Con. One of these years, I gotta
Well,
get.
I guess it's down in Atlanta. So yeah, I think I was down there for work at the office, spent a week there the same time that was going on. And obviously didn't make it over there, but yeah, that might be something I can go check that out when we're down there. That'll be fun.
Right.
This must be one of your fans.
Hey,
They
Rob.
listed you first. All right. So what in the hell are we going to talk about? Which I'm really sad Tim isn't here because it sounds like he did all the work, even though it's I was hoping he was going to carry the show tonight, but that's okay.
Right.
Being that it's the holidays, Christmas time is coming, I thought we would talk about why the telling of ghost stories used to be so popular. It isn't at Christmas time. It isn't as popular in the US anymore, but it used to be, especially in the Victorian,
Right.
very popular to tell ghost stories. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about, how that came to be, why they thought telling Christmas stories around the Victorian times was so popular. And then I had asked each of the guys, including my
Oh,
here he is.
look
Oh,
who showed up. It's
Did-
okay. Don't worry.
did-
You're only like 7 minutes late for work.
or
Yeah,
or was
that's
he
not the worst
24
it's ever
hours
been.
early yesterday?
He fell
Yeah,
asleep
actually,
at
I'm like
desk.
28 hours early. That's true.
Anyway, so Tim, how are you?
Awake. Thank you.
Oh no.
He was passed out.
I did. I got super good
Drunk.
prescription cough medicine that I took when I got home from work.
Kenny was right on. He said you had too much
I saw
NyQuil and
that.
coffee.
I saw that in the chat. I was like, mother. I was like, yep. Dude, I woke up to my phone like going, brrr. I'm like, who the hell's calling me? I was like, who's Dave Schumacher? I
Oh Jesus.
was like, oh shit.
That's when you know you got some good stuff.
Well, when your voicemail message says, I don't recognize your number, or it might be a spam call, I know where you got my number tagged. It's okay.
That's an update with the iPhone, unfortunately. It said Dave Schumacher. Anyway,
Anyway, we're glad you're okay. We were a little worried there.
that's right. West Virginia time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want a certain paraceleb having to reach out to you and the other side to see how you're doing.
I would answer, Kenny, for sure.
I hate you
Yeah,
both.
Kenny's the one that would be doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
I'll call our mutual friend, have him bump the mic.
Yes.
Hey, Tim. Hey, Tim.
I can't talk to you right now. I'm going to wait for more people.
Gotta wait for more peeps, more souls waiting. All right, so we were just talking about the topic, what we're going to talk about tonight, why ghost stories, telling of ghost stories used to be so popular, mainly during the Victorian era, how that came to be. Can discuss a little bit why it's maybe not as popular anymore here in the US. And then I was getting into how I'd asked for the three of us to bring something that's either a holiday ghost story or something else related to the paranormal that revolves around the holiday Christmas time. So I don't know what you have in store. I look forward to it. I mean, I have two things. One kind of as a backup if we need more time, but I know it's going to be shocking that I picked some sort of journal article that has something to do with the paranormal and ghosts around Christmas time, or a Christmas theme, I should say. So that should be fun. All right. So those are my opening ramblings. So I think Tim's probably still waking up. So let's let Kenny
My
go.
shirt's
and
crooked even. Look at this. I slept hard, man. That was good shit. Prescription
Whatever
cough
you
medicine.
got, I need some of it. Are you still
was-
drinking it now?
No.
Looks like a NyQuil bottle.
No, it's just a
It's a NyQuil
coffee,
chaser.
Dunkin'
Yeah.
coffee.
I mean, this is something, and I'm full disclosure. I didn't do much. I didn't have time to do much research on this. I was reading literally before, like 2 hours ago. I was starting to read about this, but it always hit me. And actually, Jade Kitten's question is really what always spurred my curiosity. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Like that song always had scary ghost stories, and it's like, why? And I remember asking my parents that when I was a wee little lad, and they had no answer except for, oh yeah, they used to tell ghost stories.
There's a reference to it in this article by the History Channel, and it was
Awesome.
in the Smithsonian article as well. So there's comments about that. So we'll get to that. Unless we just want to answer it now.
Yeah, we can go ahead.
All right. So I'll read the section on that. And this was by Elizabeth Yuko. How ghost stories became a Christmas tradition in Victorian England. So I'll read that section of it. It's under Traces of a Tradition. Other than A Christmas Carol, there is another piece of pop culture that reflects the Victorian Christmas tradition in a single line from a song written and released in 1963 by American musicians. First recorded by Andy Williams, the song "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year" lists scary ghost stories as one of the highlights of the holiday season. Although it's unclear why the writers of the song, Edward Pola and George Wiley, W-Y-L-E, included the tradition, the author of this article, or I'm sorry, the reference that they make to the person that they interviewed for this, says that it's possible the lyric is in reference to Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Right.
It's only the one text, she notes, but it's such a big deal here in the US and the UK, and pretty much all that Americans know about Christmas ghost stories in isolation.
Right.
So they don't know for sure, but it sounds like it's just potentially a reference to A Christmas Carol. But that's a great question, because same thing as you, Kenny. I've always wondered, why the hell are they talking about scary ghost stories in the Christmas song?
Right. Yeah, because it's supposed to be like being raised in suburban, I dare say, white America, like a white neighborhood, predominantly Christian neighborhood. It was all about, like, well, you had the religious side of Christmas mixed with the jolly old man and reindeer kind of, and somehow they merged in my upbringing. And the idea of ghost stories was so foreign to me, even though I sang the song. Like, I sang it along, and it wasn't until like late grade school, early high school that I questioned it. And yeah, I never got an answer for it. So it always made me curious, but I never had the interest in pursuing it until, like 2 hours ago.
All right. Any other opening comments, or should we toss it down to?
Yeah, give it to the early bird.
I got it. Yeah, I got everything that's coming. That was bad. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I
There's a
don't
first time
remember
for everything.
I don't remember falling asleep. But true, I am 27 hours early. 26.
You were yesterday. Yes, we talked about that too.
That
Kenny was almost getting ready to pull Taryn in. That would have been bad, man, to have to call in a backup for you.
Number 4, you just been promoted.
You're number 3 now. We have a new number 4. All right, Tim, sorry. Opening comments.
I'm rushing back through my notes from yesterday when I was completely prepared and not under the influence of prescriptions. The rise of I went to this because you mentioned Christmas Carol, which I thought was an interesting thing, which I talked about in the chat, was that, a few years after the Christmas Carol, 1843, spiritualism kind of blows up. 1848 is when the Fox sisters in the United States claimed the rapping sounds and everything started. Spiritualism begins to rise in the 1850s and 60s. Seances, table turning, medium spirits, photography, all that begins to pop up. going down science newspapers. Things a Christmas. So, what would ghosts in something like A Christmas Carol be so good for at that time? So, ghosts in A Christmas Carol were on brand at the time, not bizarre. That had it literally broke it down into. So, October precedes Christmas, and October is more of the scary horror. The Christmas ghost tales are more of the you've been a really big asshole for your life. So this is like what you're getting ready to get. So it's a time, it's kind of like the character arc of like exactly what you see. So one of the popular things during the spiritualism was to put those two stories together was a ghost, something foretelling, and they would have a ghost arc of a person changing, which is some of the stories I sent to you guys, which looks, prescription was good. It was good. After I get done here, I'm going to hit another swig of that and go back to bed. But I found that interesting because I never understood that as well, but it did. It follows Halloween, and there was some actual positioning against it from the horror, which is okay. Everybody likes to scare. Everybody had a good time. The tricks, well, now you've been bad. So it's more of a storytelling using the spiritualism of the time, which was extremely popular to promote character arcs from giving instead of taking and doing good. It was it was the sign of the times. They used the medium that was popular to make ghost stories.
And did they talk more about the U.S. telling of the stories and the ghost stories, or were they talking about global phenomena?
Well, they were on this paper. They were talking a lot about the popularity in the UK area, not in the United States.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things I found is a lot of the references as they talked about being in Europe, and then when they moved to the U.S., it's one of the things that didn't stick is the carrying over of telling ghostly tales around Christmas time. And part of it could be the religious impact in the U.S. Coming to the United States. They didn't bring that through, or, back in the day, those type of things, supernatural, paranormal, and the heavy religious influence would have probably not looked at that too favorably. The other thing is they were talking about how Halloween, it seemed to have stuck more with Halloween, and that it just kind of faded. And then they made a point in one article I read that the Christmas stories and the references, same as what you said, Tim, but they also used an interesting phrase. They were a little more syrupy in the U.S. for the holidays. You got Scrooge, Christmas Carol, Miracle on 34th Street. I mean, it's a little different feel to it than just the retelling of some spooky, ghostly tales.
Right. And I think, with because it looked like the Irish and Scottish immigrants that brought over more of the Halloween traditions that we know today, that developed into what we know today, were like late 1800s, early 1900s. And that kind of took over the idea of telling stories about ghosts because it was associated more with the scary version of that. So I guess the idea of telling ghost stories during the Christmas season, where we over here in the States had this more impression that it was more religious / jolly, like you said, like the It's a Wonderful Life, like movies like that. That's kind of like the Christmas theme that I remember growing up, because that's the way everybody sat down and watched it, and then you had other movies come along like A Christmas Story, which completely ruined that idea.
But yeah, you're seeing more scary movies coming up, more horror movies coming out around Christmas these days, which I don't know if that has anything to do with it. It probably doesn't have anything to do with it. It's just a time of year that people are off and can go see movies.
Right.
There
And I
was, well, I don't interrupt. I'm sorry. I just,
Yeah.
before the point that Dave was making gets too far behind, I sent the link for that Canterville Ghost by Oscar Wilde. So anytime I see Oscar Wilde's name on the end of something, I want to read it, which I looked for it last night. But the idea, I read a synopsis of it and kind of listened to a little bit spoken online, that you can go online and it'll read it to you like a ghost story. Hold on, just you're lucky you're behind glass. I should have wore my mask. But it's the story of Americans, and this is in 1887, coming to live in a haunted castle or a haunted. Maybe it wasn't a castle, but to us it's a castle, but they called different things that look enormous, different words. But it was like a manor, but it was basically a castle. And their Americanism of their, people, the servants talk about, my lord, you're going to be visited, you're going to get scared, you're going to see things happen. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Where's the food? Yeah, whatever. Can we make money off of it? And so even back then, he was recognizing the difference between American and UK versions of how they viewed the, and honestly, I like history, but I can't say this, but I think it's interesting. American at that time was still very young and very new. So these weren't the original settlers, but these were people that were like really cutting out hard places to live when it was, really hard. So, what can they do and can we make money is probably something that was just ingrained at the time. But it's a very, he pokes fun. He makes a little bit of fun about both. How the Americans respond and live with the ghosts, and how the traditional UK person reverences the ghost instead. So it's pretty good. I have a list of 10 that are really good, recommended ghost stories. One I didn't really recognize as a ghost story, but I guess it was because that's what I asked for. But yeah, that was one. So I started that one last night just because Oscar Wilde is Oscar Wilde, and he didn't get his name by accident.
Cool.
I thought it was interesting. Like as I was reading it, I found like the history, the History Channel article. I think that you found, Dave. And I was reading through it, and I think it led me somewhere else. And it was talking about how the in Victorian times, again, like this, the weather, the season actually inspired people to tell ghost stories. And they talked about how like the days were shorter, so you had longer nights. People had to stop work early out in the fields, I guess, and come in and huddle around the fire, and it inspired them to tell scary ghost stories to entertain themselves. And to be honest, like that seems like a strange concept to me, that you're already miserable because it's cold, it's dark, you had to stop work early. Even it was hard work, but they probably didn't want to stop. And you're to kind of take your mind off of it, you tell stories that are meant to scare the shit out of each other. Like it was weird because I'm trying to take myself out of modern times, with all the technology and the, I guess the what is it, the what's the word,
Industrial revolution, printing press. I don't know.
When you're so used to something that you're no longer bothered by it anymore. It no longer has an effect. You're muted, Tim.
Oh God, yeah. Acclimated
to, like things being scary or scary stories, because we've seen so many like movies or TV shows and especially when the effects and or the gore sometimes have gone like way overboard and desensitized. That's what I was looking for.
There you go. Yeah.
Desensitized to all this. So I'm trying to go back, 200-300 years or even more of a time where none of that was there.
Yeah, there was a part in that same article that this Brittany Warman, a folklorist specializing in Gothic literature, made a comment about the industrialization not only provided tools to distribute spooky stories, but uncertainty during the era also fueled interest in the genre.
Right.
Interest was driven, she says, by the rise of industrialization, the rise of science, and the looming fall of Victorian Britain as a superpower. All these things were in people's minds and made the world seem a little bit darker and a little bit scarier.
So I'm wondering now if I think you touched on it, Dave. Like there's been a shift over the last few years of returning to kind of more horror themed or dark themed shows and entertainment movies and stuff like that during the holiday season. Like a good example was the Krampus movie that came out, which I didn't like. My wife loves it. I don't like it. But like there's that shift there. Let's make it dark, and I think that becomes more entertaining. And to be honest, I do find it more entertaining than the holiday movies that are like everyone's happy ending, everyone gets some presents that they want, and little Timmy gets his bicycle at Christmas morning and stuff like that. Like I actually enjoy the scary horror stuff more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Ben.
Actually, Ben, nobody likes to say it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Well,
it's fascinating that we go ahead.
I wonder, like looking at the popularity of movies, reflecting like a culture or impressing a culture. So if the part of your times that you're in is very rough and harsh, maybe people will be attracted to more darker shows at the time. Right. Or you could also argue just the opposite. They would be looking for more lighthearted entertainment. But I certainly would think that's really interesting. I'd like to go back and look at the movie themes versus like the economic times or different eras to see, people that are just having a really bad time, really hard time for Christmas. If they're like, I don't want to see some family get everything they want because I want to see somebody just like me struggling and Krampus showing up and kicking the crap out of everybody. That would be great.
Yeah, it may have been the same article, but it was mentioned in another one too, that the popularity of the Victorian Christmas ghost stories cut across all socioeconomic levels. So it was oral tradition, obviously, which you can tell stories anywhere, right? And they're available. And then they started getting it into print, Industrial Revolution, the printing press, and then the publications became available to a lot of people. So it was like this, it contributed by that it became more available even in print, that people were able to do this. And it also featured people from different economic levels and status. It's almost like watching reality TV shows or some of the other ones where, these days you look at it and go, oh yeah, we can watch this show that talks about the higher level of society or the lower, or then we can jump to the ghost hunters reality shows. And it's almost like that was their form almost of entertainment and being able to see something they can not only have fun with or maybe get a little scared, but also kind of relate to based on where they were placed at the time within society. So then it was interesting. They mentioned the Charles Dickens effect, which obviously was a huge impact in 1843, A Christmas Carol, obviously forever linked with the British author, holiday seasons, telling and reading ghost stories. So it actually extended well beyond just A Christmas Carol. Dickens played a huge part in popularizing the genre in England. He wrote a bunch of different Christmas novellas, several of which involved ghosts specifically. So it wasn't just that one, but it was even more of that. And then he and others would get stories and publish them in the magazines and other locations that people had access to. So it's like Charles Dickens, it further blew it up, and then they were publishing other ghost stories as well as Christmas Carol.
It's funny how A Christmas Carol is so ingrained in our culture, yet it's somewhat surprising that ghosts being associated with Christmas is like, that's treated like, that's weird, because we all, I mean, at least I know I grew up with several versions of that movie adaptations. And I mean, the one I was just talking about it like a week or two ago on the other show, where one of the weird, almost like childhood trauma moments was when I think it's the Ghost of Christmas Past. I think the Ghost of Christmas Past, or the one that in the older movie where he almost looks like a king with a beard. He's got a big robe on. It looks like a Santa's robe.
That's
when
present.
He opens up.
Present.
He opens the robe up, and there's the two kids. I think it's Famine and Poverty, I think they're called. And seeing that, like, that freaked me the hell out, because I didn't think he had legs. Like, I was convinced for a while until I saw it again where he does have legs. I thought the kids were his legs, and I was like, what the hell am I watching?
So it was ignorance and want. And
okay, yeah.
Oddly enough, like on my TikTok channel, like I've been following this guy. I don't know what he is, but he seems to have a really good grasp on literature. But he's breaking down each part of A Christmas Carol, the book. And he mentions the two kids scene, ignorance and want, I think was what it was. And he relates it. It goes back to the show when the two people show up and ask Scrooge to donate because people are going to be dying in the streets, and they're going to be cold, and children are going to freeze, and they need a place. And Scrooge says something like, "That's not my business, man. My business is money." And so that goes right back to ignorance, the ignorance of not wanting to even know, or not knowing what other people are suffering during your time is, or ignoring the suffering of others is dangerous. And I didn't get to want, but I really like the way that he put that for, I haven't watched them all, but they're really good. But I thought it was really good. Yeah. So each little ghost that he goes through in his progression for his character arc has a direct relation to the opportunities and the encounters he had prior to his first visit to set up his character. The present, so I didn't realize this, but I thought it was really nice that the present is the only ghost that's visited that he doesn't really take him anywhere. So because he's with the present, so he has to be present. So when he first visits the ghost of present says, come in and know me better. So he's trying to tell him, like, come in, know me, know where you are and what's going on around you. So this might be a little coding happening here, but I really do like the in-depth discussion with that book.
Interesting.
That's why there's no alcohol.
Or
I would not. No, there's not. No, I'm not. I'm a lightweight with just alcohol, so I'm not mixing the two. But I have really enjoyed watching the breakdown of that story.
Cool. All right. Anything to add about the Victorian era ghost stories and the lack of it really catching on in the U.S.?
No, that seems par for the course. Like so many trends like that just did not transfer over, and it's I think that's why we all have the differences now that we kind of joke about. But it's like, you guys like that over there? What? That's weird. What are you talking about? And I think there's just the idea of telling ghost stories at Christmas time. I mean, it doesn't seem weird now. I want to make that clear. Like, it doesn't seem weird now. It actually sounds kind of cool and opens up a lot of good storylines, especially for modern storytelling. So
we should bring it back. I like the idea.
Yeah.
Right. Tim, you had something else to say?
Yeah, there was I'll go over them just kind of a little quickly. It was a generalization of like a juxtaposition between like Halloween and Christmas ghost stories. One that kind of stood out to me was the relationship with the dead. So Christmas ghosts generally are often known to you, past friends, relatives, or at least deeply tied into your own story. The basic message is, look what you're doing to your own people, look what you're doing to yourself, look where you're heading. Halloween ghosts are often someone that's wronged, someone that's been murdered, someone that's been out for revenge, not necessarily known by the person at all. The Headless Horseman, the Vengeful Spirit. Time and symbolism. Christmas usually is deep winter, often pointing towards light returning. It's inspirational, hope and salvation. Halloween is blood's guts and more. Pretty good. That's about it. Those were kind of like the fun ones that stuck out to me, so I wanted to kind of go over them.
Okay, that's good. Interesting. Let's take this question before we move on. From John Allen Michael. Hey, John. Would the Victorians have watched Die Hard for Christmas? I'm going to let Kenny answer first.
I don't know. They might be upset that an American went after Hans. First and foremost, I don't care what Bruce Willis says. It is a Christmas movie. Totally a Christmas movie. I will fight anyone that says otherwise. But would they watch it? Hell yeah. I think so. I think it's although it is definitely, I want to say, like, more stereotypical American action film, like that's all the way. That's something that we would do.
They might watch it, but they're not rooting for
they're not rooting for Willis. Yeah.
I would be really interested in what Die Hard would look like written by Charles Dickens or in that time. So it would be like musical. Would you break into would you be trapped in like a workhouse? Would you be trapped in a factory? Hans is awesome. He's not the owner, so I don't know if that would be necessarily, but he is a bad person in there. And his character arc was hitting the ground at Mach 2, so it ended really quick. But just that's the first thing that came to my mind was like, how would you write Die Hard in the version of an 1883 pen, if that makes sense? That's actually a very interesting question to me.
So I correct myself here, because if Hans is German, I just looked it up to make sure. So I guess, our Victorian England probably would be okay with that, with Bruce Willis taking him out.
All right.
Here's my answer.
I think we've yippee-ki-yay, we've solved that one. All right.
Yes.
Jade Kitten. Gremlins Christmas movie? Yes. I'll let Tim go first.
So I have a very loose, I guess, definition. Like, if it comes out at Christmas, it's a Christmas movie. Like, what do you want to do? If it has Christmas in it, it's a Christmas movie. My first thought on this was I had not Bruce Willis, the crazy cop.
Gremlins and Die Hard.
Die Hard. No, it was
both together.
Oh my God, I can't believe I love this movie. It came out in the 80s. Had the guy Mad Max. He was a
Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon.
yes, was
Yeah.
a psychotic cop. Like
Yeah.
that was the first movie that came out at Christmas that was very Christmas themed in the sense that it even opened with a Christmas song. That like was that a Christmas? So at the time, even back then, I was like, yeah, that's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lethal
definitely.
Weapon. Yeah.
I go with the idea that if there are Christmas themes in the film, it is a Christmas movie. Like you said, like Lethal Weapon. Yeah, it opens with it. Gremlins, it's Christmas time. And Die Hard, it's Christmas time. They have presents. You see stuff. He gets the bad guy because he uses Christmas tape on his back to hold the gun. It has Christmas themes, therefore Christmas movie.
Yeah, and I'd agree. But if it's Gremlins or Christmas Vacation, it's going to be Christmas Vacation I'm going to watch. I'm not going to say Gremlins isn't, but there's some that I'm going to have to say are probably a little more Christmassy than that. Oh. Bad Santa, Christmas movie or anti-Christmas movie? Excellent Christmas movie.
Excellent Christmas movie, yeah.
Yeah, Christmas movie.
It just cracks me up. Just somebody saying the name of that movie and bringing it up. That it just cracks me up every time I watch that one.
Yeah, like Home Alone. Home Alone is a Christmas movie. It's definitely a Christmas movie, but it's filled with violence. I love it. Not practical, but
I laugh through the whole period where those guys are trying to break in. Joe Pesci and the other guy trying to break in, and all the freaking booby traps that kid set for them.
I was watching it. It was on last night, and we were watching it, and I'm like, this is so dumb, but it's funny. Like some of the stuff is funny, but it's so dumb.
Yes,
that's why I like it.
All right. Okay, well, I don't think we have any more questions on voting on if it's a Christmas movie or not, so we'll move on to the second part. And we have about 17 minutes, but we can go a little longer if we need to. So the next part of this was okay. Yeah, we already talked. We already talked about Lethal Weapon. We've decided that is. That
is definitely.
The next part was to pick either a favorite Christmas ghost story or a ghost story that has something to do with Christmas or any other topic in the paranormal that's related to the holidays or Christmas.
Christmas Carol for me, that was easy. I love Christmas Story. God.
Christmas Story, Christmas Carol.
One of those.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If it's a movie, I love it, man.
Yeah.
There's a movie called Christmas. I like it.
It's absolutely my favorite. It's I have DVR'd and I have saved many different versions. And if it's nothing more, I love the character arc. My favorite stories within stories are character arcs. And this one's just kind of blatant. But when he finally wakes up and realizes he was a jerk, well, I'm under the influence. So, and Bill Murray's Scrooge. Yes, thank you. There it is. Scrooge is another one that has that character arc, and I like Bill Murray's character in that movie Scrooge. So any movie. So Christmas Carol is actually, I've read the book just because of the character arc. I don't think I've, outside of some child's Christmas book, I haven't read any other specific Christmas books ever, but I do like that I have that book, and I love that movie. I love the characters in it.
Okay.
Go
ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, I don't really like I said, I didn't have much time to actually go through, and I totally forgot about the second part that you had on. I mean, I can go with my favorite Christmas story is A Christmas Story. I absolutely love that film. And I even went to the house last year. I went to visit. It was on the way to a investigation that I was invited to, and I was like, "Well, I have time. I'm going to leave like 2 hours early." And you buy a ticket, and they had the actual house that was filmed for the outside. The interior shots were filmed on a set for the most part, but the backyard scenes, the front yard and the front of the house and all that was filmed there. And they redid the entire house inside to look like the original house. So I got the tour of the house, and the leg lamp that they used in the film is there, including the crate that it came in.
Nice.
And the fun fact, I don't know if you know this, but if you watch the film where it says fragile, and there's parts that are cut off on either side, and that's because they had built the box wrong to the wrong size. And instead of building a new one, they simply cut off a little bit on each side of the door that comes off. And you'll notice that some of the wording is cut off. And that's literally what they did. They cut off parts of the door to make it fit. But yeah, I was able to go in the house and see everything, and they had all the items on display, and got to go in Ralphie's room, and even almost I was like this close to buying a bunny suit. Very, very close, because they have them there. But I wasn't, I couldn't justify it. It was like $80.
Next year, the holiday 3TS is going to be Kenny in the pink bunny suit.
Well, not just that, but my immediate thought was next year we're all three going to be in the
pink bunny suits.
Yeah, we got to do it.
That's good. All right, so movie-wise, I guess if we're going to follow that theme for a little bit, Christmas Vacation, by far my favorite one, not paranormal related in any way, shape, or form, but Christmas Carol, of course, Scrooged, and It's a Wonderful Life. So those are some classics, and I think some other people had mentioned those as well, but all of them have a bit of a paranormal aspect to them, so I do enjoy those. I will watch those pretty much over and over again. Just some of them are just good, feel good, and other ones are just fun to watch. And
right,
I don't know, it's almost a tradition with my entire family that right after the Thanksgiving meal, that's the first time whoever's house you're at, you put on Christmas Vacation. And I think we just have so many back and forth one-liners from that movie throughout the season. So it's probably a top one. But again, anything paranormal related, again, Christmas Carol or It's a Wonderful Life. So those would be some of my favorites. And then, if we would have paid attention to the homework assignment, but that's okay.
Sorry, Pete.
It's not the first time we've gone off the rails on a show.
Won't be the last.
Yeah. Time for some education now, kids. From the Journal of Behavior Therapy and Experimental Psychiatry in 2001, there was an article called Another White Christmas, Fantasy Proneness and Reports of Hallucinatory Experiences in Undergraduate Students. And I'm just going to read the abstract. Otherwise, this could be a whole show in itself. So in the current experiment, 44 undergraduate students were asked to listen to white noise, simply white noise, and instructed to press a button when they believed hearing a recording of Bing Crosby's White Christmas, without this record actually being present in the recording or in the white noise. 14 participants, 32%, pressed the button at least once. They heard it, or at least they claim they heard it. The participants had higher scores on fantasy proneness and the Lone-Slade hallucination scale compared to participants without hallucinatory reports. Both groups did not differ in terms of imagery vividness or sensitivity to social demands, like experimenter demands. They also don't think it was due to suggestion or priming, but it could have been because they told them, are you going to hear this in there?
That was my first,
Right.
Yeah, but they did a logistic regression to suggested that fantasy proneness is a better predictor of the hallucinatory reports than the hallucination scale. This might imply that hallucinatory reports obtained during the White Christmas test reflect a non-specific preference for odd items rather than any schizophrenia-like internal experiences. So I just liked it, one, because you're talking about White Christmas, very famous song. And it has obviously a lot of relevance to EVPs, listening to recordings, hearing things that aren't there. And it's not necessarily your tendency to hallucinate or imagery vividness or even social context, or as they argue, some suggestion, but it's more related to fantasy proneness, which is something that if you look at other studies with fantasy proneness, those people that are very prone to these type of fantasies, or as they put it, what did they say? Let's see, fantasy proneness. Both groups didn't better predictor. So they see this fantasy proneness as a potential predictor of paranormal experiences as well. In other studies where people say they've had a ghostly or paranormal experience, they tend to score higher on fantasy proneness as well. So that was pretty interesting.
Isn't this is actually interesting because it's like isn't what they were experiencing, even though it's likely because they probably have a really good imagination and prone to fantasies like that, but it's still an hallucination because they're hearing something that's not actually there.
The interesting thing was, and one thing we can maybe we make this a show later. One of the things they also asked him is, how sure are you of what you heard? And almost all of the scores were actually relatively low. So they weren't very sure.
So like that to me sounds like those people were everyone was primed to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But
well,
not
yeah,
everyone
they
went
told them
through.
to listen for this
Right.
and hit the button.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if like those and this does relate really well with ghosts and EVP, because it's like when people ask a question, what's your name? Everyone is primed for an answer that would be related to a name.
Yep.
And in this, they're primed to listen for that for a song for music, and the more fantasy prone you are, the more imaginative you are. And
so they to be fair though, they did find that both hallucinatory tendencies and fantasy proneness correlated with them pressing the button, saying they heard it.
Okay.
However, when they did the logistic regression analysis, it's showing that the fantasy proneness was a stronger driver of it.
How does I don't understand how that works. Like I don't actually understand.
Yeah, there's a mathematical way to model the data to see what has a stronger effect on the results versus the other variables.
That's interesting.
Which hallucinatory predisposed to hallucinations obviously played a role, but wasn't as strong as what they found here in the fantasy proneness. So there's a lot in this article. I just hit the top highlights, but they use a lot of different questionnaires.
Damn it, Dave! This is not something you bring up 5 fucking minutes before we're done the show.
Oh, it's a teaser for another show, perhaps.
Who's up next? Because if it's me, I got my next topic.
I'll send you the paper so you can read it the day before.
I'd like to read it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's pretty interesting. I mean, they talk more in the discussion. Non-trivial, 32% of healthy control participants indicated they had heard it. Secondly, hallucinatory reports were not found to be related to image ability. That has something to do with prior papers that they were trying to prove out and test out. Third, reports of hallucinatory experience were not associated with heightened sensitivity to the situational demands. This finding further supports the conclusion by another author and paper in 1987 that the White Christmas phenomenon cannot be simply accounted for in terms of suggestibility or compliance to expectations of the experimenter. Fourth, relative to the participants without White Christmas reports, participants with such reports had higher scores on both the hallucinatory scale that I talked about and the fantasy proneness scale. So fantasy prone person's tendency to endorse odd items. obviously this is, then they go on and even reference some of the literature saying these fantasy and prone people also have higher reports of paranormal experiences. So, of course, being good researchers, our findings do not rule out a scenario in which fantasy proneness drives a specific response bias, reflecting impaired reality testing, which in turn fosters a hallucinatory report.
Okay.
So, critical question: is fantasy proneness responsible for a wide variety of atypical reports, including hallucinatory reports that are unrelated to genuine experiences, or does this trait reflect impaired reality testing that gives rise to odd and schizophrenia-like experiences? It's a pretty in-depth paper, but I thought it was kind of cool. So yeah, they used White Christmas, and of course with white noise, which, as we
Right.
know, is a popular way to try to obtain EVPs by generating some sort of noise or white noise in the background, and people hearing something that's not there.
Isn't I'm probably nitpicking here, and
Mhm.
feel free to tell me. You're both like, yeah,
I don't know. Fuck, I don't know.
Like,
No, it's
it
good to
mentions
nitpick.
about genuine experience, like differentiating between. I think this is what you read, like hallucinatory and then a genuine experience. But isn't a hallucination still an experience?
Internally generated
Internally,
experience
yeah.
versus an
Well, it's-
external generated experience
Okay.
that there's no stimuli that's causing it.
Right,
I think that
right.
would be the correct.
That would be a better,
Tim knows more than I do.
yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause that tripped me like a little bit. Like, if they are hearing it, they're having an experience. They're
Mhm.
having some type of an experience. But yes, as you described, it's internal because
Mhm.
it's not an outside stimuli that creating it,
Mhm.
as if they were actually hearing that song,
Mhm.
but they're building it from the fragments of the noise that they are hearing.
Mhm.
It's interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
We
to me, the take home is basically, if you have this trait of fantasy proneness, those people typically have paranormal experiences to begin with, and then if you're going to venture into EVP with noise in the background, and there's nothing even there, because I think we've all listened to EVPs where there's absolutely nothing there and people are hearing stuff.
Yeah.
So it's something to be aware of when you're listening to and trying to interpret your EVPs. Sorry, Tim. Go
No,
ahead.
that's okay. I think that actually in quite a few shows we've hit that topic a few times about an experience where we often talk about did it really happen or not, but I like that we reground ourselves and frame it from the viewpoint of the experiencer, that
Mhm.
regardless whether, like, if someone calls and they're genuinely terrified, something happened, you can say that they genuinely had this experience. Does it make it a ghost? No. Does it make it not a ghost? No, also no. But if you're going to treat, then you want to treat that they had that experience.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. So if I'm a psychiatrist or a counselor and I'm treating that, like, I want to know what's going on with that experience, even though it didn't happen. Relative to them, they did have an experience. And I think that we often use it in the context of, it's just not enough to say you didn't have that. You didn't experience that. That wasn't real, because then you're
Mhm.
blowing off an emotional and a cognitive side that could have been traumatic to them, and it doesn't help them.
And this is priming, which I still think some of this could be, because this part on how they set it up. When the participants entered the room, Bing Crosby's White Christmas song was playing. And the participants were asked whether they were familiar with the song. All participants had indicated they were. Next, they were told that they would hear over headphones a tape with white noise for a 3-minute period. They were also told that, quote, the white Christmas song you just heard might be embedded in the white noise below the auditory threshold. If you think or believe that you hear the song clearly, please press the button in front of you. Of course, you may press the button several times if you think you heard several fragments of the song. So priming could be, but again, the thing that you got to look at the overall data and the question sets and the interpretation. 32% of the people heard it. And those that heard it had a statistically significantly higher score on fantasy proneness.
Right.
So it's not
Right.
just priming, because not
Mhm.
everybody had that. And there definitely was a difference in that fantasy proneness. Because I mean, let's look at, it'd be interesting. Like, let's take Kenny. If you told him you're going to go into this haunted house and have a paranormal experience because all these people had these experiences, he's probably not going to have an experience. Probably not. At least not one that's more on the subjective side. It might, if there's something objective, something you could record, something move. That's one thing. But on the subjective side, hearing a voice or hearing something in a recording that isn't there, he probably isn't going to have that. And it'd be interesting. I'm assuming, and we would have to run the questionnaire, but I would maybe assume if we were going to take this study, we would hypothesize that his fantasy proneness level is low.
Yes.
Send that. Can you send that to me so I can take
sure.
it?
Of course.
Like I want to take one of these tests because I've never done that. And
yeah, I have it.
I think maybe another way to word that is if it was priming consistently, then consistently you would have had the same number of people with high belief scales as you would with low belief scales.
Yeah, and that gets to, you're actually answering. I think you're getting to Cat Max comment. They totally they did, but again, the difference is the fantasy proneness level of those that had the experience and didn't. So you're looking at priming. You can't just say people are primed and they had an experience. There's way more to it.
Right. It's a combination of priming because it doesn't work on everyone. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you could tell me, you're gonna go into this house, you're gonna have a paranormal experience. I'm gonna go, I'll find out. I'll let you know if that actually comes out. So it's not going to work that you just told me because I'm going to look for other reasons. So if you have that level, if you have that spectrum of participants in this, where it's somebody like me to somebody like Matt, you're gonna have like a wide range there where people will believe and people won't right off the bat just because they're playing a song. The part that really stood out to me in this is that what you read was about fragments of the song.
Yes.
So not the actual song playing through, it's fragments. So that, I think that kind of lowers the bar for someone that is high on the fantasy prone chart because they're listening for it. They're listening because now there's another layer here of, did they put it in? Did they put it in there and they're trying to trick me? I'm going to listen for it and I'm going to hear a fragment. Oh, that sounds like it. And I just listened to it for 3 minutes. Maybe I heard it. I don't know. I'm going to press the button.
The other thing that you got to keep in mind, these are college students. They do a lot of these tests on. To me, it'd be fascinating to run this with people involved in the paranormal, believers versus those that aren't, non-believers, different levels of belief, different levels of fantasy proneness. There's a lot of other factors to take a look at. John, is the idea that those who are fantasy prone are easy to prime? You might think that. They do make the point.
I think he's getting close to it.
Yeah, I think, but what they say in the papers, third, reports of hallucinatory experiences were not associated with heightened sensitivity to situational demands. So I think they really don't bring forward the priming terminology, but I don't see how you can say that priming wasn't part of it. I mean, but then again, how else would you do it? Because you're trying to get them to hear a specific thing. You can't have them come in, listen to well, I guess you could. You could have them come in white noise and say, what did you hear?
Well, there's a subset of that. So it's almost like if you set up the experiment and say, let's just see what happens. We're going to do this little prime. Maybe it's just a little primer. We're going to put it in there. We just want to see what happens. And then you get a very specific percentage of the people that happen to hit, yes, I heard it. At the time you're looking at the numbers, you're like, well, that's interesting. You don't know that they have a higher percentage in paranormal belief.
Correct.
But when you look, you're like, oh, interesting. the people that hit happen to have a higher percent of paranormal belief. So that little bit of data is enough to look at and go, well, that's interesting. And you can work backwards isn't fair, but you would answer the question, you would ask the question, another hypothesis. Why or what makes this subset of the population that we tested more susceptible? Because it was equally given to everybody.
Correct.
But statistically, the people that answered this question, the pretest, tested higher, which separates them from everybody else who also got the priming. So why does this subset have? It's like if we gave everybody penicillin before we knew people were allergic to penicillin, and they gave everybody penicillin, and like 100 people died out of 1,000 tests, and they were like, "Oh, I wonder what these 100 people died after the test." And then they found out, and they were like, "Let's find out." And then they find out that there's a subset of people that are allergic to penicillin and we should not give it to them. I mean, that's really grossly broken down, but it's not the fact that people, I don't think it's saying the people with, it's just saying we found this subset, we found this interesting, and it stuck out to us.
Yeah, and then you start getting into that discussion of, what's the independent variables in this? What's the dependent variables in this? Are there confounding variables in this? So there's a lot of different ways to look at it. So yeah, this could be a whole show in itself.
It is a whole show. We're on it now. I'm starting to sober up and feel better. Damn it.
There you go. I gave somebody, whoever's up next, something to talk about on the next show. We could do a deep dive, and there's a lot more papers they reference in this thing that dig into other experiments.
But I would suggest not anchoring so deep into the priming as to anchoring yourself into the findings that they didn't know that they were going to find, and just looked at this small population and a larger population. Why does this population pop up more? Because it's there's more consistency in this population than there is anywhere else. Like, why does this spike only happen with people that answer yes to this question?
Right.
Yep.
Sweet.
All right. With that, closing comments. Tim.
I love A Christmas Carol. I do. It's good. I probably learned a little bit more about the literature, and I guess movies as well, about Christmas ghost stories. It really didn't hit me until, like, you guys, when I was starting to sober up, you guys were talking about, noticing that there's a lot of ghosts in Christmas song, that type. I guess there is. Like, when I looked up ghost stories for Christmas, there were a lot that popped up that I didn't realize were written, not necessarily with a Christmas theme, but written during Christmas, and published during that time. And a lot of them were definitely late 1800s during that boom time. Just like I said, his book, Christmas Carol, came out, I think it was 1883, and then the Fox sisters, I guess it took a couple years to cross the Atlantic to get books, and all of a sudden it hit over there.
It looks like.
Yeah. And then bam, 3 years after that book came out, they have it. Now, I don't know if that was influenced or not. I don't know if they ever read it, but it certainly took off after that.
Okay, good. Kenny?
Yeah, I enjoyed this, even though it was a short amount of time, and I would have liked to have spent more time on this to get into the folklore of it, because it does sound interesting, especially knowing the context. Like this is a small mystery that was solved for me, because that line in the song always bothered me. Not in a bad way, but it just made me curious. And now understanding the concept of where it came, and it was actually a long tradition, well before that song came out. It was interesting, and knowing the context of the environment and the situation that people were in and why they developed that tradition is really, really fascinating. And it's always fascinating learning about these histories. And then also, you know, going into the non-traditional Christmas films that we talked about, and that's always fun to have that debate and go around. And then, of course, wrapping it up with a good look at a study. I mean, that's really when we got into stuff, because it was like, oh wow, we got a lot. And I think this would be a good topic for maybe the next show. Or if you want to save it for when you're up next, Dave, that's fine.
No, it's fine. Somebody else can steal it. That's good.
But I mean, yeah, we
Steal
can
it.
read, we can get that report, read that paper, and then
Already
also
sent it to you.
I wanna take that fantasy prone.
Yes, I will get that. I'll get that over to you.
Right. Because I'd be interested to see what it says about me, because I do have, I mean, despite my outward skepticism and critical thinking, I am a huge fantasy lover. I mean, look at all the toys behind me. I love comic books and fantasy novels and Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I grew up playing it. So, and my imagination is, I think, pretty good. So I'm interested to see what that says about me. But that's it. I'm leaving that determination in Dave's hands. Great.
And the result says skeptic.
It appears you're just Dick. So
what is that? There you go.
All right. Well, it was fun. I thought it'd be kind of a fun holiday topic. We got to learn a little something. Got to talk about Christmas movies, which is always a good time. Can never go wrong there. It was interesting for me to learn a little bit more about why in Victorian era people sat around at night in the dark and spooky times telling scary ghost stories around Christmas, and then why it didn't really stick in the United States. So that to me was interesting. And then I came across the article. I think I probably have maybe read this before, but to circle back and talk about it, just because it's maybe a lame excuse to say it talked about a white Christmas and then it's playing it with white noise. But to me, it's taking the opportunity of something that has the word Christmas in it and turning it into a learning experience. And it's something that I hope we can all discuss more in the future. And, you know, our fellow friends in the paranormal and ghost hunting, when you listen to EVPs or listen for EVPs, especially if you're using white noise, and there's always some sort of background noise, that, you know, make sure you question yourself. You might not actually be hearing something that's really there.
Yeah.
And it would be probably good to understand, like Kenny said, he wants to take the fantasy proneness questionnaire, see where he lands. It'd be good to understand where you land on some of these things as well. And again, none of these are meant to be diagnostic. We're not psychiatrists. We're not psychologists. You got to look at it more as just an interesting self-survey that you would look at from a research perspective. That's it. Nobody's diagnosing shit around here. Besides,
look at that
Tim
phrase.
with another dose of cough medicine.
Dude, that was good stuff. I'm so glad you called. I am embarrassed by that. I should have been more professional. But I was coughing. I was like, nah, it's like a tablespoon. I'm like, what's that going to do to me? Well, you know, 2 hours later and 4 quarts of drool.
They gave you the good shit, man.
They did. It was prescription. And I haven't, I've coughed a little bit, but it's been bad. So I want to go over, I don't want to go too long, but I would just out of curiosity, because it was fun. I asked for some examples of Christmas stories, not necessarily that they're Christmas stories, but ghost stories read by Christmas. So Christmas Carol, obviously number 1, 1843, Charles Dickens. Number 2, The Story of the Goblins Who Stole a Sexton, Charles Dickens.
A what?
A sexton.
Oh, okay.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
Slowly sometimes.
That is a grumpy grave digger is dragged underground by goblins and shown visions that push him towards a better life. Again, going back to that the Ark. The Signal Man, Charles Dickens, 1866. He seemingly holds the title here. Then there's this M.R. James Christmas Ghost Story. So they have like some very small short stories about Christmas. The Turn of the Screw, Henry James, 1898. We're seeing a pattern here. The Monkey's Paw. Like I remember reading that in
I remember that.
8th or 9th grade. Yeah, Christmas story. Again, a moral arc story. The Canterville Ghost. That's actually they made that into a sex toy, Kenny. In 1883, I don't want to go there. They made a television show out of it. I did not know that. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Washington Irving, 1820. Green Tea by Sheridan Le Fanu, 1869. A clergyman is tormented by a demonic monkey that only he can see.
Oh,
it is technically more than a demonic and ghostly, but firmly in the Victorian supernatural canon and very psychological. Hamlet, we all know that one. Some guy named Shakespeare. I never heard of him. I think he's pretty good. That's what they say.
I've heard.
And so those were some. Those were like the 10 that popped up that were good. So if you're looking for something.
All right. That's good.
All right. You should post, if you can, post that in the chat so other people can maybe look them up and read some good ghost stories over the holiday season. With that, we're going to get to does anybody have anything going on coming up? I'll go first. No, as I said before, really trying to make the move from the Chicago, Illinois area down to Atlanta, Georgia. So that's going to keep Jen and I busy for the next couple weeks, and hopefully we'll find a house and get settled in the next month or two.
All right. Cool.
So, Tim, I know you'll be the second shortest.
Yes. 2 things.
He'll be sleeping.
I will. Yeah. May neither one of you catch whatever the hell I have. That's all I wish. Really. I got the place in Virginia contacted me and asked me about coming since I couldn't make it last winter, and I'm thinking about it. I don't know if you guys are planning to go or not. I might. I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't asked yet.
Huh?
You didn't ask yet.
Okay. Other than that, Kit asked me to come up to talk at the I'm stuck on Mothman, but it's
Grafton?
not Mothman. Yes, Grafton Monster.
Festival.
Which
Awesome.
I'm more. Yeah, Kit's fantastic. So I'm more than happy to drive up there and support that place. And I mean, I might not be liked, but support that place and support her and anything.
You'll be fine. I mean, Daniel and I have been there 2 years in a row and have not. Anyone that didn't like us there just didn't talk to us. They just walked by, and that's it. But in the little lecture hall that they have, people came out, they listened, and they had questions. They were polite and conversational. Nobody was, hostile or anything. And I think they'll like what you have to say. Like if you go with something with the haunted object test or something like that, I think they'd enjoy that. So yeah, I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
For me,
yes, sir.
I have 2 things. One is that there is no Skeptical Help Bar this week. Unfortunately, I have to go to a funeral down in Philly. So we're driving down Friday, staying the night, going to the funeral service, and then coming home Saturday. So long drive, 7.5, 8 hours each way. Ugh, I'm not looking forward to it. But after that, next Friday, we will have John without an H, who is in the chat room. He's going to be on my Skeptical Help Bar as a co-host because the bastard won one of my wheel spin things and it came up co-host.
John's co-hosting?
Yeah, he's going to be a co-host. So we're going to have an open mic night with me and him. And then if you're interested, on Christmas, December 25th. One of the channels that I watch on YouTube, Beardo Gets Scared. Beardo is hosting his second annual No One Alone on Christmas
I remember that.
live stream. So every hour, it's a different YouTuber that's going to live stream to get everyone that maybe you don't have a family or you don't have anywhere to go. You can hang out with us in the chat. It's going, I think we're up to 14 hours now straight. So I will be on at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I think both Donna and I will be on. So check it out. He's got a list, a bunch of different channels. It gives you a little flavor, a little taste of a whole bunch of different channels. And I found a bunch of people last year that I really liked, and I started following a lot of them. So check it out. But other than that, I have a lot of secret projects that I'm not allowed to talk about. That is taking all my time, and that's why I didn't do my homework for tonight. So,
well, if we get into that article on the next show, we're gonna have to do our homework.
I already printed it out, so I'm ready to go.
And I'll get you the scale they use to measure the fantasy proneness. There's a couple different ones, but I'll probably first send the one that they used here, and then we can look at other ones if we want to do that later.
Okay.
Is there a way that we could? I feel like I don't want to break any rules. If there's a way we could put that link on our website and ask people to mail it back in to us. Even they could do it anonymously if they wish, but so we could
set up a Google survey or like a Google Docs or a Survey Monkey and do it that way, and it would be anonymous, and then we would just we'd just summarize the information. We wouldn't even know who answered it.
Then we could like guess which one is ours, or we could guess the people in the chat.
Fantasy proneness, Kenny Biddle 0.0.
Yes. Your test scores actually read this is bullshit.
He actually spelled bullshit out on the card. All right. Well, with that, thanks everybody. Appreciate you listening to the show, and have a great holiday season. And we will see you in 2026.
Yeah.
Till then, take care, everybody. Be safe.
Bye.
Don't for chance, don't for chance, don't for chance. Game with the real, those what the name. Game with the real, game what is real. Don't question me. Game is about, game is about, game is about. Those that are roots, I'm on TV. Don't for chance, don't for chance, don't for chance, don't for chance. And all what you say, oh, you'll get better.